The air in the iron arena is thick, heavy enough to turn every breath into a conscious effort. Gravity isn't the only thing crushing me down here. It is the weight of 1,000-year-old warrior culture and the golden, unyielding stare of the man currently pinning me to the floor. High Blade Zarkon is a living statue of refined violence, his chest plate radiating a low hum against my sternum. My knees are trembling, my muscles screaming under the 3G load of the training floor, but I refuse to look away. He is close, so close, I can see the subtle pulse of violet light beneath his skin, a sign of Krylorian focus. Every nerve in my body is firing, an electric surge that has nothing to do with the gravity and everything to do with the heat radiating from his massive frame. I have no strength left, only the stubborn, frantic refusal to let him see me break. 4 hours earlier, things were significantly less lethal, though arguably more embarrassing. Liaison Ren, I had told myself while sprinting through the colossal Krylorian spire. Diplomacy usually involves knowing when to keep your mouth shut. My head was pounding with the rhythmic thrum of a grade-A caffeine withdrawal. The spire was a masterpiece of chrome and soaring glass, a radiant beacon of light that offered no mercy to a man who hadn't had a cup of coffee in 24 hours. I was late. The summit was the pinnacle of my career, the moment the United Systems would finally bridge the gap with the Krylorian hegemony. I rounded a corner near the diplomatic wings, my boots skidding on the polished floor, my vision blurring slightly from the lack of stimulants. Then the world stopped. Or rather, I stopped, abruptly, against something that felt like a reinforced titanium bulkhead. The impact sent me sprawling. I scrambled to my feet, my apologies already bubbling up when I saw what I had hit. High Blade Zarkon, the hegemony's primary negotiator and most decorated warrior, stood there like a mountain. He didn't move. He didn't even blink. He just stared down at me, his armor gleaming under the overhead arrays. It was the rear plating of his combat suit, intricate, interlocking scales of iridescent alloy that had caught my eye as he turned. "Oh, wow," I blurted out, the lack of caffeine finally stripping away my filters. "Those plates are incredibly well contoured. I mean, the curve on that rear armor is magnificent. It really emphasizes the structural integrity of your glutes." The corridor went silent. 2 honor guards nearby went rigid. Zarkon's skin, usually a cool, stony gray, began to ripple with a deep, bruised purple. I didn't know then that for a Krylorian, a shift to violet was the equivalent of a shocked, indignant flush. "Strictly for protection, not for compliments," Zarkon rumbled. His voice was like grinding tectonic plates, vibrating through the floorboards and straight into my marrow. I felt the heat climb up my neck. I had just complimented the backside of the galaxy's most dangerous man during a high-stakes peace talk. I tried to recover, stumbling over my words as I gestured vaguely at his suit. I only meant the craftsmanship, the aerodynamics. He stepped into my personal space, his height forcing me to tilt my head back until my neck sparked with pain. He didn't look angry. He looked fascinated, like I was a strange new species of insect that had just tried to bite him. "If you admire the armor so much, Liaison, perhaps you should see how it functions in its intended environment," Zarkon said, his eyes narrowing. "Meet me in the iron arena. If you can stand for 5 minutes under high G, I will consider your apology. If not, the summit is over before it begins." The gravity in the iron arena pulses a rhythmic surge of invisible power that tries to fuse my bones to the pristine floor. I can feel Zarkon's heartbeat through the layers of our armor, a steady, thunderous drum that mocks my own frantic pulse. He is a wall of radiant heat, his hands gripping my shoulders not to crush me, but to steady the very world that is trying to flatten me. My vision is swimming with sparks of golden light, my lungs burning. Yet I find myself focusing on the way the violet glow under his skin has deepened into a vibrant, swirling nebula. I am not giving up. I wheeze, the words scraping against my throat. "I might be a disaster, Zarkon, but I am a persistent one." The High Blade's eyes widen a flicker of something that isn't just warrior's pride. It is a spark of genuine, terrifyingly bright admiration. He exerts a fraction more pressure, testing the structural integrity of my resolve. I do not have the muscles of a Krylorian highblade, but I have the sheer, unadulterated gall of a diplomat who survived 3 years in the Mercury tunnels. I heave a breath, pushing back against the crushing force, my fingers digging into the sleek, polished silver of his forearm guards. The electric shock of our skin, meeting where my glove has slipped, is a jolt more potent than any espresso. "You are a fool, Ren," he says, his voice a low rumble that vibrates through my entire skeleton. "A reckless, caffeine-deprived fool." "Exactly." I manage a jagged grin, the proximity making my head spin faster than the gravity. "And I meant what I said about the armor. It is magnificent. My awkward honesty is the only weapon I have left, and I'm going to use it until I am flat as a pancake. I do not care about the protocol right now. I care about the fact that you are the first person in this entire spire who has actually looked at me, and not just my credentials." Suddenly the crushing weight vanishes. The high-gravity field shuts down with a crisp, melodic chime, leaving me floating for a split second before I collapse against him. Zarkon catches me, his arms locking around my waist with a sudden, protective urgency that sends a different kind of shockwave through me. The air in the arena feels light, charged with a magnetic energy that has nothing to do with the machinery above us. I am pressed against the cold metal of his chest, but the heat of his body is all I can feel. He looks down at me, his face inches from mine. The violet hue in his skin is shimmering, now a sign of profound respect, and perhaps something far more personal. I realize then that he is not letting go. The warrior who commands the most feared legion in the sector is holding a disheveled, shaking diplomat like I am the most precious cargo in the galaxy. The fear of losing this moment, of this connection flickering out once the gravity settles, is more terrifying than the sparring match. "Your endurance is unexpected," Zarkon murmurs, his gaze lingering on my eyes with a searing intensity. "Most would have begged for release within the first minute. You chose to stay and argue about my aesthetics while your ribs were under threat. It is a specialty of mine," I say, my voice steadying as the adrenaline begins to clear. Stubbornness in the face of overwhelming odds. 2 hours later, the peace accord lies on the crystal dais of the Krylorian spire, signed in shimmering ink that reflects the midday sun. The diplomatic crisis has evaporated, replaced by a bond forged in the heat of the arena and the absurdity of a misplaced compliment. The hegemony and the united systems are finally at peace, but as we stand together on the balcony overlooking the sprawling, luminous city, the treaty feels like an afterthought. Zarkon's hand brushes against mine, a deliberate, lingering contact that speaks of future negotiations far beyond the reach of politics. The sun catches the brilliant curves of the spire, turning the world into a landscape of power and light. "We have much to discuss, Ren," he says, a rare, sharp smile tugging at his mouth. "Perhaps over a beverage that contains this caffeine you seem to crave so desperately." I laugh, the sound bright and clear against the soaring glass walls. "I think I can manage that. Just do not expect me to stop being honest about the armor. It really is a work of art." He does not pull away. If anything, the magnetic pull between us only grows stronger, a promise of a partnership built on shared bruises and the beautiful, chaotic truth of a collision neither of us expected. The peace is settled, the bruises will heal, but the electricity between us is just beginning to hum. "Would you like me to generate a cinematic image of Liaison Ren and Highblade Zarkon standing on the balcony of the Krylorian spire as the sun sets?"